Lesson 1. Plant Reproduction. Warm-up. Plants are everywhere in the world. Plants are found on the top of the mountains to the depths of the oceans. Reproduction in plants is the production of new offsprings in plants. In seed plants, the offsprings can be packaged in a protective seed, which is used as a medium of dispersal. The most common form of plant reproduction is through seeds. A number of other methods utilized by people are the enhancements of natural processes, including cutting, grafting, budding, layering, division, etc. Growing of plants. Plants bear fruits. Most fruits contain seeds inside them. Some fruits contain only one seed, while others contain many. Many plants grow from seeds. When a seed is placed under moist soil, it begins to grow after a few days. Each seed contains a baby plant and some food for it. When seed is sowed, the seedling begins to grow its root under the soil and green leaves above the ground. Thus, fruit helps the plant to reproduce. Dispersal of seeds. Seed dispersal is the movement, spreading, or transportation of seeds away from the parent plant. Plants have very limited mobility, so they rely upon a variety of dispersal mediums to transport their seeds, such as the wind, water, and birds. Seeds can be dispersed away from the parent plant individually, collectively, or both. This has important effects for the demographic and genetic structure of plant populations, as well as migration patterns and species interactions. There are 5 main modes of seed dispersal: gravity, wind, explosion, water, and by animals. Gravity dispersal. Dispersal of seed by gravity is a simple means of seed dispersal. The gravity acting on ripened heavier fruits causes them to fall from the plant. Fruits like apples, coconuts, and those with harder shells, which often roll away from the plant to gain more distance, have this type of dispersal. Wind dispersal. Wind dispersal is one of the most basic means of dispersal. Wind dispersal can take on 1 or 2 primary forms. Seeds can float in the breeze, otherwise they can flutter to the ground. The classic examples of wind dispersal in the temperate northern hemisphere include dispersal of seeds in cotton plant and dandelions. Dandelions have a feathery pappus attached to their seeds and can be dispersed long distances. Maples have winged seeds, samaras, that flutter to the ground. Explosion dispersal. This method of seed dispersal is quite exciting. Some plants like peas, gorse, and flax have seed pods that dry out once the seeds are ripe. When dry, the pods split open and the seeds get scattered. In hot summer days, when gorse bushes explode, one can hear the gorse seed pods popping open. Fact to know: an exceptional example of explosion dispersal is Hura crepitans. This plant is commonly called the dynamite tree due to the sound of the explosion of fruit. The explosions are powerful enough to throw the seed up to 100 meters. Water dispersal. Many plant seeds use water as a means of dispersal. The seeds float away from the parent plant. Mangrove trees live in estuaries. If a mangrove seed falls during low tide, it can begin to root in the soil. If the seeds fall in the water, they are carried away by the tide to grow somewhere else. Kohai trees also use water dispersal. They have a hard seed coat that allows them to float down the streams and rivers. This is one of the reasons kohai trees are commonly found on stream banks. Coconut trees are well known for water dispersal. Animal dispersal. Some seeds have hooks or barbs that stick onto an animal's fur, feathers, or skin. Plants like Pittosporum have sticky seeds that can be carried away by birds. Fleshy fruits are eaten by birds. Chemicals in the bird's digestive system help to weaken the tough shells around these seeds. Birds often fly far away from the parent plant and disperse the seeds in their droppings. The quail, parrots and bellbird play an important role in seed dispersal. Monkeys and other fruit-eating animals too have an important role in seed dispersal. Other methods of growing plants. Grafting. This process joins the shoot system of a plant, known as a scion, to the root system of another plant known as the stalk. The two, scion and stalk, are joined where the sizes, diameter of the scion and stalk are very close. They are both cut diagonally and placed facing each other. They are taped or wrapped tightly and left to join on their own. Scion, stalk, wrapped and waxed. Cutting. Plants like roses and sugarcane etc. can be cut at the points of nodes and internodes. These points are planted in moist soils. After some time, adventitious roots develop at the points and new plants begin to grow. The cutting techniques are grouped into three categories: stem, leaf and root cutting. Stem cuttings include hardwood, semi-hardwood and softwood cutting. Leaf cutting include leaf blade cutting, leaf vein cutting, leaf bud cutting and leaf edge cutting. The third category is root cutting. Layering. In some plants like raspberries, the stem can be bent and buried in the soil around the plant. After some time, adventitious roots develop from the stem itself. This part of the stem is known as the layer. The stem can then develop into a new plant. Tissue culture. Orchids, chrysanthemum and asparagus are examples of plants cultivated with tissue culture. This technique is advanced. Tissues scrubbed from the parent plant is placed in a special growing medium in a lab. The tissue is nourished with the nutrients until new plants are produced. Fact to know: plants cannot run away from a fire. So, some plants have developed a way to help their seeds survive. There are some species of pine tree that require the heat from a fire before their cones will open and release seeds. Banksias, eucalyptus and other Australian plants also rely on fire. Germination of seeds. When the seed finds a new location in the soil, it can begin germination. Germination is the process of seeds developing into new plants. All the environmental conditions must trigger the seed to grow. This includes how deep the seed is planted, water availability and temperature. First of all, the seed grows into a root to access water underground. Next, the shoots or growth above ground begin to appear. The seed sends a shoot towards the surface, where it will grow leaves to harvest energy from the sun. The leaves continue to grow towards the sunlight. Fact to know: temperature is also an important factor. Some seeds germinate when it is cold, such as plants in northern environments. Some seeds only germinate when the weather reaches spring temperatures. That is why we see so much plant growth in the spring in temperate climates. Points to remember: each seed contains a baby plant and some food for it. There are 5 main modes of seed dispersal: gravity, wind, explosion, water, and by animals. The gravity on ripened heavier fruits causes them to fall from the plant. Wind dispersal is one of the most basic means of dispersal. When dry, the pods split open and the seeds are scattered. If a mangrove seed falls during low tide, it can begin to root in the soil. Plants like Pittosporum have sticky seeds that can be carried away by birds. The cutting techniques are grouped into three categories: stem, leaf, and root cutting.